Hi. Well, recently I have watched a movie called The Witches of Eastwick, and I think it's a really good example of how people manifest and create entities, and specifically Incubus and Succubus, into their life. There's actually really depends on what you're going to look at a movie, because for some it's going to be like a fun one, some like, oh, look, something lustful and then fun looking at the girls, and like, oh, that's a dream life for some in the beginning. But anyway, the key point is that our thoughts create everything, right? And so with entities, with Incubus, Succubus, it's always, looking at what do we want and what are we doing exactly. And we might not realize we're doing it, but some people have various desires and wants and needs. And where they come out of lack, like, okay, you might feel dissatisfied with your life. You want someone to love you, to care for you, to give you that kindness and caress you and cuddle you and everything else. And that's great. Some of us have these lustful thoughts when we meet some people that we might not be able to have in our lives. And we just crave for their attention. We crave something physical. And, sex is like one of the biggest things. Like, damn, like it would be so fun to just get down, like get laid and just fool around and everything else. Like, yay, pleasure, awesome. And that, like various cravings, things that we might ask for and not really be aware of who are we asking those things. Just like, oh, God, please give me this. Or just, oh, I want to get this thing so much. So all of these thoughts, cravings, wants, that's one thing. But it also comes from a point of us being hurt, possibly being the victim. And then we're like, oh, I hate this person so much. And, they might piss you off. They might cause you anxiety and stress. And you just want to get back at them. Or you're looking for ways to how to deal with this person. How can you be in their space? How can you be with yourself after they have said or haven't said something, done or haven't done something that might have hurt you? So we're looking at all of these things, and our feelings and thoughts end up attracting and or creating entities. Specifically with what you've been feeling and focusing on will attract that. It just creates the space around you for other beings who will match what you are feeling or thinking. And so these beings, like entities, they will come into your space and amplify what you have, and they will create more thoughts. And all of a sudden, we misidentify that with like entities' thoughts, what they're feeling and what they're creating. And now it's not your thoughts, it's someone else's, but you can't tell the difference anymore because they have gotten in your space, they have had common thoughts and feelings with you. And once you quiet down, they're still there. They start talking, they start feeling, and you are not able to tell the difference. Well, most people are not, like, unless you're practicing self-awareness, you're practicing mindfulness, quiet mind, and other things like that. Sure, that's easy. But for others, like, it's just like, oh, what's the difference? Some people are not even aware that they have entities or other beings in their space. And so, people end up having craziest thoughts and or feelings. And it does not mean necessarily that you will want to kill someone, but it just creates various cravings. It creates thoughts, wants, needs, feelings that will lead you to a place where you're going to be used. It will attract you into a situation where you get a hook, like it just gets you excited, like a drug. Like someone, like an entity is holding a carrot right in front of you and you're the little donkey going for it. And so it's like, it seems like a great idea at first, going to some place, doing something. Maybe this is an event or a thing you're going to do, but they just throw you a hook because they have already altered the situation that will put you in place where there's going to be miscommunication or some incidents around you or interference. And it's going to trigger you so much because you might have been prepping for it. Like, oh my God, I'm going to go to a concert. I'm going to see this musician that I've been waiting for so long. Or, like a theater or a movie or something or a date. Yes, awesome. And you want to have this fun. It's going to give you a massive dopamine hit, serotonin hit. Like, yay, great. You go for it. And all of a sudden, people around you just seem to act crazy. The timing, people are being late. Your meal doesn't arrive on time and stuff like that. Or all of a sudden miscommunications. Stuff you say doesn't come out right. Maybe you didn't understand someone, like what they meant and everything else. So all these little things end up with, they hooked you, you bought it, then feel like it. But then there's just so many triggers around you that you end up, like getting aggravated, getting pissed off, and all these feelings make you explode. and boom, they're getting loose from you. All this energy, like they have created the situation, and now they're feeding off your energy after you've exploded. And now, you've had this up going, like, yay, life is great, it feels awesome, and then crashing and burning, and like it just feels like really bad. And now we're trying to handle ourselves and like pick ourselves up and like get back on our feet and just try again. And so, like, watching this movie just reminded me how easy it is for us, without really being aware of what we're doing, to attract entities. Incubus and Succubus specifically, like it just happens to a lot of people, like lustful thoughts and wanting to have fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people are not really careful with their thoughts. They create like tons of scenarios in their head, like, yeah, fantasizing to have fun. Great. Nothing wrong with that, right? But a lot of people are not aware that the world that they create and the scenario they create, they're not necessarily, like you create that scene and fantasy and it's fun and you're done and you just move on. But you have not uncreated the world. So what you have created is still there. The way people are blaming God or their overself or higher self, like, why is my higher self not helping me? Why am I in this fucked up situation? Why, like I'm calling for help and my overself doesn't care. Why? You're doing the same thing. You, with your wild fantasies, you create a scenario, a realm, you put yourself and other beings in that place, and then you move on. And you don't give a damn. You even forget that thing. So your overself is the same way. Created that, okay, it's fun, then move on. So we have to be aware of these things and catch these, because all of these scenarios creates alters and other aspects of us, and they're living up to this moment. And all of these emotions and thoughts and scenarios, it's still happening and is draining your energy in a way, if it has created something that's, just taking you out of place. Like if it's a great scenario constantly giving you a boost and energy and you're just feeling revitalized and stuff, great. But if it's the opposite, like, okay, having sex is amazing, but for some people, too much, well, it starts getting draining. And all of a sudden you, in that energy and those thoughts, end up attracting Incubus and Succubus who will be using that against you. As in, first few nights, first times might be fun. Okay, someone playing with me, finally I made, it just feels great, dopamine hit, awesome. A bit later on, well, you might want to move on, do other things. Now you have other things in your mind, and these beings just keep on touching you. They keep on playing with you. And some people get drained, some people get abused, some people get raped, and all of a sudden that fun thing for a few days turned into a nightmare that's lasting for years. So looking at this movie, I think it's really important to just like sort of be aware of our thoughts and what we're focusing on, what we're feeling, and kind of catch yourself like, okay, was I what I'm thinking and focusing on for quite a while now, in the past few days or weeks? Well, how conscious was I of all that? How aware was I of what I'm focusing on? And what kind of results am I seeking? Is it like just pondering around and being lost in my thoughts and just like, okay, there's this and that, and it just goes away? Or are you focused on a specific goal? I'm not saying chase that goal, but some people might be focused on having fun so much or hurting someone else. Not necessarily that you're a bad person, but you've been suffering so much that you want others to feel that. It just shows up a lot of times when people get abused by entities, or let's say, reptilians, Dracos, and all the others, and people get into that mindset, you've hurt me so much, I'm going to have you feel the same thing. You just have to. And it's kind of going for revenge, but it just creates this never-ending game. Like if you want to be the bigger person, and I'm not saying that this point of view is right, this is just my perspective, which is subjective, and this is where I am at the moment with this. It's basically like you can be hurt and you end up being the bigger person, where you're like, okay, you've hurt me, that wasn't fun. You don't necessarily turn the other cheek and forgive them, you remove them out of your space, but you're able to move on and choose a different creation. And not necessarily go into hurting them, but okay, you can create a realm for them where they're going to carry on with their life. You can break deals, because basically what keeps you and entities and other beings in the same place is common agreements, common mindset, common thoughts. Like for one night, you wanted to have fun. You wanted to fool around and no one was around you. And you kind of like, I just wish someone was here and just, we could have had fooled around, had so much fun. Well, entities, they want that too. Incubus, Succubus, they have those cravings as well. So you two have something in common, you get together, it's a match. And then, you know, a week later, you're like, your mindset is different. You want to get productive and you're feeling like you cannot do anything. But these thoughts, the laziness, the procrastination, and all the other things, like, you just can't leave you. And you're like wondering, why? Why am I so lazy? Why am I so tired? Why am I not doing anything? Why can't I just start? Like, I want to do so much. I'm inspired. I'm motivated. And I just don't start. Why? Well, these beings in your space that you have attracted, when you were feeling that same emotion or same thoughts, now they're in your space. There's so many of them that what they have, what they feel, what they think overwhelms you. And you end up being sucked into their field. And all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're losing this game, right? So getting these entities and beings out of your space, clearing your mindset, like straight thoughts, and like, okay, just do it, just start. Doesn't matter how you feel like you're never gonna feel like doing something. Motivation, awesome, it gets there, it's a high. It's like, yay, got my thing, awesome, feels great. Still not doing anything. So just start. Like, okay, I want to look good on camera before I make a video. Well, goddamn, you know, like I might look like a mess like this and stuff, but just gotta turn on the camera and start. And so for me, like today is like this, feels like it. But anyway, the Witches of Eastwick, like, just triggered some thoughts that I thought I'll share. If you have seen any movies lately or anything really going on in your world where you think like, oh, people should be aware of this, like, you know, like where the movie focuses on the entities and you feel like there is some self-disclosure that people should see, feel free to leave that in the comments. If there are any topics that you're focused on, like, yeah, entity is cool, yeah, but like this story about Hawaii and Hawaii Islands and everything else, it's way more important, and here's why. Well, you know, just whatever you feel like you're focusing on, share that in comments, and, you know, people will check it out. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.